Welcome to City of Keene in Focus. Thanks so much for listening. Good morning and welcome to our next episode of City of Keene in Focus. My name is Asa Kramer and I am here with Elizabeth Furland, our city manager. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Asa.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Great. Yeah, it's a beautiful fall day.
I know.
So we are recording a little later than we normally do. Council was last Thursday and it was kind of a short one.
It was. Yeah, I'm not going to complain about that.
No. And it had a super cute start.
Oh my gosh, that was the cutest. I just saw a picture this morning, actually. So we did this proclamation for Halloween, and a couple of our employees brought in their children in costume, and the mayor handed them the proclamation, and he had like these, what is it, Groucho Marx glasses on. Oh my gosh, it was so cute.
It was so cute. The little one, the littlest girl, I think she couldn't really see over her hood, so she was leaning way back, and it was so cute.
Yeah, that was a great way to start. And also, we had a lot of visitors in the audience as well. From Einbeck, Germany, we have people from the government there. That is our sister city, our partner city. So they come here every other year, and then we have a group from the partner city committee that goes there, and there's a choral exchange. And so there's quite a few people here from Einbeck right now. They're still here. And so they came to watch at least part of the council meeting to see how it works. I think it was interesting for them.
Yeah. We had sort of a welcome reception that morning, and Petra, who I believe is the vice mayor,
I think you're right,
of Einbeck, and she spoke about how it's so important to keep these cultural connections and how we can learn from each other.
Just some genuine understanding of each other, right? And how we may look at things a little differently, or we may look at things the same. So some of the people who are here have been here a few times, so I've met them before. That is one of the things we talked about is, while our form of government may be a little bit different than the way they are established, we're talking about the same thing. We're talking about budgets, we're talking about roads, we're talking about services. And so there's a lot of things that are actually very similar. And the other cool thing about this exchange is that they come and stay in homes of individuals. So the mayor has a couple there. Helen, who used to work up in the third floor, for a long time, she was the staff person for the Partner City Committee. And then her last year, when she was getting ready to retire, she actually went to Germany. So she went to Einbeck last year, and she stayed in someone's home in Einbeck. And so when they came back, it was her turn to host them. And so a really cool partnership.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we had that, and then I think we went into a couple of public hearings, which really I would say was the meat of our meeting last week.
Yeah.
One hearing was on Keno, and then the other was on social districts, and both of these items have been before the City Council, and they have already voted to place them on the ballot. So really, the public hearing was just an opportunity for members of the public to give their input. There are some questions that people asked, and then just the next opportunity will be on the ballot, which is coming up. It was interesting. We did have someone here from the Lottery Commission to talk about Keno. In fact, he's been here multiple times. This is the third time that Keno will be on the ballot. The last two times, the residents of Keene have voted down Keno for our establishments, and what's interesting this time is the way that it's worded. It's kind of tricky because it talks about whether or not it should be prohibited. And the last two times this has been on the ballot, it's been, should we have Keno? And so a no vote means they didn't want Keno. But now a no vote means you want Keno because it says, shall it be prohibited? So if you say yes this time, it means you want to prohibit Keno within the borders of the city of Keene. So it's just a little bit of a flip-flop, a little bit of confusion there. And we did have a couple of business owners attend the public hearing and speak in favor of it. And so it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. The other is the question of social districts, which is a brand new law, and there are several communities in New Hampshire who are placing this on their ballot. And basically, this would authorize the city council to create a social district, but it does not automatically create a social district. So I think that's important to know because There's a lot of work that would have to be done. So if the voters decide, yes, we want to have social districts in the city of Keene, there needs to be ordinances and rules put in place, because what this means is we could have a defined area. And I think Councilor Remy has talked about creating a social district for events. So for instance, the Pumpkin Festival that just happened this past weekend, if there was an event and we had social districts that would include event footprints, then people would be able to go into a restaurant downtown and purchase a drink in one of these special cups. And so we'd have to have a cup that identifies that it's part of this social district footprint. And then they would be able to take that cup and walk around the footprint for, let's say, the Pumpkin Festival. But again, who knows? Because really, the council can decide that, no, it's only for a certain part of downtown, or it's only on this day. Or, there's lots of things that the city council could do if the voters feel that this is something that they should put in place, or they should at least think about putting in place. So we do have some information that will be available to voters. The city attorney and the city clerk reached out to the city of Concord, who is also placing Keno and social districts on the ballot. And their attorney has drafted some language that will be included the day of voting. And so I think we're going to use the majority of their language to help educate people when they go into the voting booth, that they understand what a social district is and what a yes vote and a no vote means on Keno.
Well, great. Yeah, that did seem to be the bulk of the meeting. Is there other things that happened that night that you want to talk about?
Well, there were just a couple of other votes that evening. The Keene Snow Riders, they request permission each year to have their snowmobile trails along the right-of-way of Cliff Road and the Ashuelot River Trail to Winchester Street. And that's a really long motion that we've talked about. We need to make these motions shorter. And so I know the city clerk's going to take a look at that, if there's some different wording that we can use. Because really, I think what's happened over time is there's been some sort of issue or some sort of concern, and so they've added the language to the motion. But really, that's all in the license, and so we don't have to actually have it in the motion as well. And so I think there's a way we could shorten some of these motions.
It's like a page and a half
It
long.
is.
It's really long.
That one is crazy. It's crazy long, but I get how we got there, right? So the clerk will take a look at that. And then also we had the Perch. They were here at the council meeting. They had requested permission to serve alcohol on their sidewalk cafe. So with serving alcohol, you need to get permission from the city council for the first time. So this is a new business that's moved into a space downtown. They have a sidewalk cafe and they have a restaurant. They have a liquor license, and so they serve alcohol. But the question was whether or not they should be allowed to serve it on their sidewalk cafe. And they were really interested in doing this in time for the Pumpkin Festival, which makes sense. Obviously, was a lot of people in town. And so we moved it through the process, and the council voted to give them permission to serve alcohol on their sidewalk cafe last Thursday. They came and got their license on Friday so that they would be ready to go for the weekend. And now in the future, it's just an administrative approval. As long as there's no issues with the license, these are revocable licenses that if there is an issue with a sidewalk cafe, they can come back to the city council and be reviewed again. But usually it's a pretty easy administrative process to get these sidewalk cafes renewed. And once they have their permission for alcohol, they won't need to come to a council meeting again. So I did also have a couple of just updates on Thursday from the library. The library has a really cool new online resource. It's the Peterson's Test and Career Prep. It's a software that people can use to prepare themselves for different types of exams. They can prepare for the SAT, but they also can prepare for things like a police officer exam or a journeyman plumber, electrician, firefighter, or CDL. There's all sorts of exams that an individual can prepare for using this software, and it's free, which is really cool.
That's amazing. What a cool resource.
Yeah, so I know that the library is going to start pushing this out. It's already up on their website. I checked it out last Thursday. It's very easy to use, and so hopefully this will be something that people will take advantage of. So at the end of the meeting, there was also a couple of resolutions for people who are retiring, which is always sad, but it's also a great moment for them. We have someone from the police department, Christopher Simons, and then someone from Public Works at Transfer Station, Todd Farnsworth. Councilor Powers just a great job at really just giving a little brief overview of their career. And then the council, it's really a matter of formality, votes for a resolution that then is presented to the employee. And sometimes they want to come, sometimes they don't. It's entirely up to them. I hope they do. It's just a great moment for us to recognize their career here at the city. And they also get a chance to have the mic if they want to. And some people take advantage of that. So we'll have to see if Chris or Todd take us up on that offer. Those would be at upcoming council meetings. And really, I think that's it for the meeting. The longest part of the meeting was the proclamations, the fun ones at the beginning, and then the hearings. There was only a couple of things that came out of committee. And the reason for that is FOP was canceled. Their last meeting was canceled. So that's the finance committee. And it was canceled because we attended the dinner at the fire department, the fire inspection dinner, which was great. They always do a fabulous job providing a meal for everyone. It's a lot of fun. We get to all get together and the fire chief gets to talk a little bit about the last year, and then the mayor makes a comment. It's really a great evening. And so we've got a long finance committee coming up. I think there's like 16 or 17 items. Ooh. And that's why it's so long, is because we did cancel it so that we could all attend that fire inspection dinner. So FOP will be a long one. And then we have MSFI coming up as well. And there's not a ton of items on the MSFI agenda. There's maybe 3 or 4, but it's always a longer conversation related to the downtown project update. And so I know the Public Works Department will be coming in again to talk about the downtown project. And also our ombudsman will be here and provide an update to the committee regarding the businesses he's visited since the last time he was here and any other things he wants to update them on. And so that is the upcoming meetings. And really, I think that was it for the agenda. But since I have the microphone, I'll just talk about a couple of other things. I would love to get our emergency management director and assistant director in for one of our podcasts. So we right now have been working on our emergency operations center, and we just had a sort of a training session with the department head group last Monday. So Court Blomquist is our emergency management director, and even though he retired from the city, he's kept that role, which is a part-time role, and he has been working on some projects. So it would be great to have him come in. And then also we have an assistant emergency management director, Mike Hagan. So Court selected Mike to be the assistant director. And so he also is working with us on some of these projects. They're working on other initiatives like our continuation of operation plans. And so we could probably talk a whole segment just on that,
Yeah.
but maybe just devoting a little bit of our time to them would be interesting to people.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, we'll have Court and Mike on next time.
And then I guess just the other thing that I can touch on would be some of our project updates. Brian Ruoff, our city engineer, provides regular updates to the city council about construction projects going on in the city. And I know one of them that has gained a lot of attention is the Island Street infrastructure project, basically because it's been a big project that has shut down a segment of that road for the majority of the summer, actually probably all summer, and they are still working on that project. So they should be wrapping up granite curb removal and replacement in the first week of November. The contractor is SUR, and after they get those things in place, they will be putting a base course paving down and shutting down for the winter. And then in the spring, they will come back and complete the project. And so we were hoping to have this project completely done before winter, but it's just not going to be possible. And so there'll be some temporary asphalt sidewalks to maintain those sidewalks over the winter and some temporary paving put down. But the project will continue in the spring before it will eventually be wrapped up.
And they've been doing a great job. And so I think that's a great update. I think people were eager to hear where that was at.
The other project that was on Brian's update is the Marlboro Street Complete Street project and Cheshire Trail project. That's a sort of a 2-for-1 project. And that's another project that's gone a little longer than we would have liked. We'd gone out to bid and we weren't within the bid amount, and we had to go out again. Then we had to go to the state and ask for more money. So it's really kind of dragged on. But we do have a contract now to move that forward. We did get additional funds, but it's time to shut down construction. And so we're not going to be able to finish that project, but we are right now working on the portion that's off the road, which is the rail trail project. And so Bazin Brothers Trucking is the contractor for that, and they received their notice to proceed from the city actually just yesterday on the 20th. And so you'll probably see them out there for a few weeks as they work on the rail trail part of the project, and then they'll be back in the spring to finish. And I think that's it for me. I know, it's kind of a short one.
I know. It was
but it was a short meeting, so yeah.
I mean, it sounds like there's a lot happening, a lot of good information. So I just want to mention, so Elizabeth touched on this before. We have an election coming up on November 4th. And I'm just going to, she covered this really well. I'm just going to repeat it because I think it's really important. The 2 questions on the ballot, as well as the elections for positions. The first one is about Keno, and it's an opt-out question. So if you are voting yes, you are saying no Keno. If you're voting no, you're saying yes Keno.
Yeah, that is
And then
confusing.
the social districts is the opposite. If you're saying yes, you want social districts. And if you're saying no, you do not want social districts. So it's a little confusing. So I just want to reiterate that again because I think it's important. I'll encourage everyone to go to keennh.gov/jobs. There's lots of awesome positions on there.
Maybe I'll give a plug for a couple of recruitments that we are having a challenge with. So one of them is the assistant city attorney. We had a meeting this morning to talk about how we can go back out and try to attract some good qualified candidates for that position. Since Amanda took the city attorney position, we've been looking to backfill that assistant spot. And we just haven't had any luck. So this morning at the meeting, we talked about changing the job description and maybe the title and making some other adjustments and then going back out again for that position. So I would say anyone interested, you do have to have a New Hampshire law degree, but anyone interested in that position, that would be great if we could fill that and get Amanda some relief. Right now, because we don't have an assistant city attorney, we are using contracted attorneys for some projects. And so basically that means, we can pick one thing that the assistant might be working on and assign that off. So that's great to provide a little bit of assistance, but that's expensive as well. And it doesn't really give us all that we need. So we're hoping we can recruit for that assistant city attorney position. And we've also been trying to backfill engineers. So we selected Brian Ruoff as the city engineer, but we have another engineer position in the department that we've been recruiting for that we have not been successful at filling. So we are looking for another engineer. If anyone out there is interested, that also will be coming back out again. We've got several positions, but those are 2 that I know that we've had some challenges with in terms of recruitment.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning those. It's a great place to work. I'm just going to put a plug in. Go check those out at keenanh.gov/jobs. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about today?
I think that covers it.
All right. Well, great. Then I think we'll wrap up for today. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and we will see you next time. Thanks for listening to City of Keene in Focus. We'll see you next time.